Decoded.
Welcome to Book Decoded, everybody. Today we are taking a look at I Heard There Was a Secret Chord by Daniel Levitin, who is a neuroscientist, musician, and author.
He is, yes. And he's a really gifted writer, because he takes these complex, scientific ideas and he makes them interesting, relatable for just about anyone, really.
Absolutely. He blends that science with real-world stories.
Yeah.
Like the one about Mel Tillis, the country singer. Now, I don't know if you know this, but Mel Tillis actually struggled with stuttering.
Oh, wow. I did not know that.
But get this, when he sang, the stutter completely vanished. I guess you wonder what's going on in the brain there, right?
Right. And that's exactly what Levitin digs into. And, we often think of music as just this enjoyable thing, but it's much more than that. There's a real impact on our brains, physically, affecting how our brain pathways work, what neurotransmitters are released, and even our hormones.
So it's not just like a metaphorical therapy. There's like an actual connection between music and our nervous system.
Exactly. You could say it's a full body experience, really, affecting everything from our mood to our stress level and even our physical health. Like Levitin talks about Rosanne Cash, the singer-songwriter. She used music to cope with these chronic headaches that she had.
Really? From what?
They stemmed from a condition called Chiari malformation. It's pretty serious. But Rosanne found that playing and singing could actually make her headaches go away.
So music was actually able to help her manage her physical pain.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing, isn't it? And, it makes you think about how music is tied to memory, too. Like, we've all had those moments where a song just takes you back in time.
Oh, absolutely. I think everyone can relate to that.
Levitin talks about this. He kind of debunks that idea that our memory works like a perfect recording. He says it's more like an edited film, It's subject to distortions and all sorts of things. But here's the interesting thing. Musical memory. It's usually much more accurate even for people who don't play music.
Really? So you're saying music helps us remember things better?
In a lot of cases, yeah. It's like, think about Ella Fitzgerald, the jazz singer. Levitin actually analyzed this performance she gave of Mac the Knife, where she completely forgot the lyrics. But instead of just stopping, she just improvised, and it became this captivating performance that actually won her a Grammy.
So even when we have those moments where our brain's kind of blank, music is still there to keep us going. Maybe even helping us to be more creative.
Yeah, it's like this underlying structure that's there even when we don't realize it, which makes you think about what makes someone musical in the first place. Is it just about playing an instrument?
That's a good question. What does Levitin say?
Well, he argues that musicality is much more than that. It's about, how we listen, how we perceive rhythm, how we express ourselves emotionally through music, even how we dance.
So you're saying even if you don't play an instrument, you can still be musical?
Exactly. He even talks about, he studied these individuals with Williams syndrome, which is a genetic condition. And, they face some cognitive challenges, but they often have this incredible affinity for music.
Oh, wow. What does that tell us?
Well, it suggests that that how our brains process music is very complex. It's not just one part of the brain that's responsible for music.
So it's like a whole network working together.
Precisely. And it's active in all of us, not just musicians. And if we're processing all of this through music, you start to wonder, where does attention come in? Our brains are always being bombarded with information. That's where Levitin brings up this thing called the default mode network, or DMN.
Okay, what is the DMN?
So imagine your mind is just wandering, daydreaming. That's your DMN in action. Basically, it's this network of brain regions that are active when our minds are just kind of doing their own thing.
But how does that relate to music?
Well, what's fascinating is that music can either pull us out of that daydreaming state and help us focus, or it can actually enhance it. It's almost like a soundtrack for our daydreams.
That's really interesting. So sometimes music helps us concentrate, and other times it actually helps us be more creative.
Exactly. And that understanding has led to a lot of developments in music therapy, because it's not just a way to, feel good. It can actually be a powerful tool.
Right. There's a lot of talk about how music can be used therapeutically these days.
And Levitin gives some amazing examples. Like, he describes how music therapy is being used with people who have Parkinson's disease, and it's actually helping them move better.
That's incredible. How does that work?
The rhythm and timing in the music, it acts as a cue for their brains, almost like a metronome, helping them coordinate their movements, and it can even be more effective than just visual cues.
Wow. So music provides this structure for the brain to follow.
You got it. And it's not just Parkinson's either. Music therapy is also showing promise for treating PTSD, especially for veterans.
I have heard about that, yeah. But how can music help with trauma?
Well, Levitin talks about this thing called collaborative songwriting that's used in therapy, and it lets people actually express their experiences through music. Put those feelings into words and sound, and it can be a really powerful way for them to process what they've been through.
That makes a lot of sense. It's like music creates a safe space for those overwhelming emotions, allowing them to come out in a healthy way.
Exactly. And we can't forget about the emotional component either. Music allows us to connect with and process feelings that, might otherwise be overwhelming.
It's like music speaks to us on a deeper level than just words.
Absolutely. It's like this universal language that everyone can understand no matter what your background is or what you've been through.
I feel like we've already learned so much about the power of music.
Oh, we're just getting started. There's still so much more to explore.
But there's also that feeling of being totally immersed in music, like you get swept away.
Yeah, Levitin calls that experiential fusion, and it's that feeling of being so lost in a song that you lose track of time, almost like the music becomes a part of you.
Oh, absolutely. That happens to me all the time. Is there a reason for why that happens?
Levitin describes it as a state of flow, where what you're doing and what you're aware of just become effortless. You're in sync with the music, and the lines between you and the sound kind of blur.
That's a great way to put it. And it's not just for musicians, right?
Yeah.
Anyone can get lost in their favorite music.
Exactly. It really shows how music can affect us on a deep level. And it ties into another fascinating topic, music therapy.
We touched on that before. But how does experiential fusion connect to music therapy?
Well, Levitin says that music's ability to shift our attention, bring up emotions, and create that feeling of fusion makes it really powerful for therapy. It can help people deal with emotions that might be hard to talk about in traditional therapy.
You mean it's like music helps us get past our defenses and get to the heart of the issue?
It's possible. It gives us a different way to access our emotions and work through difficult experiences.
I see. But we've mostly talked about the positive side of music. Are there times when our brains have trouble with music? Like, what happens when something goes wrong?
Well, there are conditions like amnesia where people struggle to understand or process music.
Are there different kinds of amnesia?
Levitin mentions a woman who, after having a stroke, couldn't recognize familiar melodies. He also talks about how damage to certain parts of the brain can lead to problems like not being able to keep a beat or read sheet music.
So music really depends on those specific brain pathways. If they're damaged, our experience with music changes drastically.
Right. It shows how complex our brains are when it comes to dealing with music.
Makes sense. But even without brain damage, some of us feel more musical than others. Why is that?
That's where things get interesting. Levitin says even those who think they're not musical still have those neural networks for music.
So it's not like some people just have a music center and others don't.
It's more complicated than that. He talks about an experiment where people listened to songs and had to identify them by just one thing, either melody, rhythm, or timbre. Some were better at recognizing rhythms, while others were drawn to melodies or the quality of the sound. It shows we have different musical profiles.
Interesting. But if we have these profiles, does that mean we can't learn to appreciate new kinds of music later in life?
Not necessarily. Our brains are amazing at adapting. Think about how your own taste in music has changed over time.
Oh, for sure. In high school, I was into genre, and now I'm more into genre. So our brains keep evolving.
Exactly. Those musical profiles aren't fixed. They adjust to what we experience.
That's encouraging. So how can we use this knowledge about music to our advantage?
Levitin suggests we be more thoughtful about how we use music. Like listening to music between work sessions can help us refresh our brains and focus better.
So taking a music break can actually make us more productive.
Exactly. It's like resetting our attention span. He even suggests using music in classrooms and meetings to create a more engaging environment.
That makes sense. We've talked about listening, but what about playing music? Is it ever too late to learn an instrument?
Levitin believes that learning an instrument, no matter your age, has huge benefits for our brains and well-being.
So it's not just about learning how to play. There are cognitive benefits as well.
Absolutely. Mastering an instrument teaches you patience, discipline, and gives you a deeper understanding of music. It's a journey of self-discovery and creativity.
It goes beyond just individual benefits, too. You mentioned music as a tool for conflict resolution earlier. How could that work?
Levitin thinks music can help people from different backgrounds understand each other better. Music goes beyond language and culture. It speaks to something fundamental in us.
So music could help people connect on a deeper level, bridging those cultural gaps.
That's the idea. It might sound idealistic, but music's power to evoke emotion, tell stories, and create shared experiences is undeniable.
Music as a universal peace treaty.
Levitin's book is just a starting point, you know. There's so much more to learn and discover about this.
Well, this deep dive into I Heard There Was a Secret Chord has been truly eye-opening. What are some things you hope our listeners will take away from this?
I hope they'll really see how powerful music is and embrace it in their lives. Try new genres, learn an instrument, listen more consciously, anything. Music can enrich your life, make you feel better, and connect you to something bigger than yourself.
It's a good reminder that music is more than just entertainment. It's a part of what makes us human.
Well said. And maybe, by figuring out those secrets of music in the brain, we can create a more harmonious future for all.
And on that note, we come to the end of this episode of Book Decoded. Thanks for joining us as we explored I Heard There Was a Secret Chord with Daniel Levitin. Hope you found some of your own secret chords along the way.